and sing along if you know the words.
It's no joke when you choke, so get LifeVac and live. Without breath, there'll be death, so get LifeVac and live. Get LifeVac and live. Get LifeVac and live.
LifeVac and live.
Whoa, welcome to the show. So great to have you. The Man in the Arena, I think it's show 3. Heidi Felix.
Hi, everybody.
I'll be Rick Fatscher throughout the show, and we just want to welcome you. Unfortunately, Arthur Lee, not here tonight, but always here in spirit. He's the inventor and CEO of LifeVac. Please go. If you don't have one now, for God's sakes, go to lifevac.net. Avoid the knockoffs, right?
Of course. Yes.
We hate the knockoffs. Make sure
you're getting an authentic, official LifeVac.
Yeah. Tonight, we're going to, as we always do at the end of the show, we're going to post a graphic which has up to a certain point the amount of lives saved, and pretty incredible, the numbers that we're reaching.
Yeah. I know, right?
And if you put it in the comments, like and share first, then put in the comments your guess. A little hint, if you do your homework and you go on LifeVac USA website, you probably get pretty close. Yeah. But you're going to win this LifeVac jacket.
Save a life.
Fantastic.
Got a great big Save a Life patch on the back of it. Yep.
Yeah. I have my own, and it's
Love
breathtaking. It's breathtaking. Yeah. Huge show tonight. We always say that, but it really is a tremendous show. We have the Man in the Arena. We have a woman in the arena, Betsy McCoy. Coming up later, we'll have CJ Douglas, Colonel Chris, we call him. Unbelievable. Just a contributor to the arena, which we call Afghanistan. He's just tremendous. We can't wait to thank him for his service. And we're going to be seeing each other at the Tunnel for Towers 5K at the end of September. And we'd encourage just everyone watching, if you can't, get on Team One Nation. We have the room. The water's warm. Jump right in. And then one of Arthur Lee's first soccer coaches, Jim Kilmeade, is here in the studio. We drug him all the way from, is it St. James?
Fort Salonga.
All right. I always get that wrong. I always think it's Fort James for your name. Fort Salonga. All the way from Fort Salonga to Massapequa. It's always about the Massapequa thing.
Yeah.
But before we go any further, let's bring in Betsy McCoy.
Yes, please.
Betsy, are you with us?
I am with you. It's great to join you. And I have to tell you, one of the most memorable moments for me was being in that Hall of Saves where you are now. Arthur took me into the Hall of Saves. He told me so many of the stories represented by those beautiful photographs, especially of the little children saved. It was such a memorable time for me.
No doubt. How long ago, Betsy, were you in the Hall of Saves?
About 6 months ago.
Oh, okay. So it looked similar to this because the walls are being expanded.
Such emotional impact.
Really. No doubt. No doubt. Now, when did you meet Arthur?
Well, that's a great story. I met Arthur in the green room at Newsmax. He was at Newsmax early in the morning to explain the incredible importance of his invention, right? And I'm a morning host at Newsmax. So I saw him in the green room and I said, will you make my kit too? Because I've developed a kit also to save lives. My passion is protecting people from hospital infections. And these infections kill 100,000 people a year. That's more than all the deaths from breast cancer and auto accidents and several other diseases combined, if you can imagine. And they're almost all preventable. And we can do so much to help patients prepare before they go into the hospital and while they're in the hospital to protect themselves from these infections. And my organization, the Committee to Reduce Infection Deaths, we've been working on this for 20 years.
2004. Incredible.
Delivering information for patients. We have our 15 steps, and we have a wonderful website, hospitalinfection.org. That thing you don't want to get, hospitalinfection.org. But I saw Arthur that morning, and the physicians, the experts, the real experts, I worked with them to develop this kit. So instead of just telling patients and families what to do, we could give them all the tools in one package to take with them. And that's what I wanted to develop. And I said to Arthur, you're so good at making a kit. Will you make our kit? And he said yes. And Arthur and I have been like soulmates ever since. In fact, we have stood in the Hall of Saves together and we've sung a jingle. We are the lifesavers.
That's great.
You really are. You really are. Former Lieutenant Governor for George Pataki. You're an author. I know that you have a writing assignment that's due tomorrow. So we really appreciate you coming on and sharing
Nothing
the story.
is more important than this.
Yeah, look at some of these, you at the presidential town hall.
Yeah.
There's George Bush. And there's that book we were talking about, Beating Obamacare.
New York Times bestseller. That was a long time ago, over 10 years ago.
And here's the numbers you were talking about. In the America hospitals alone, the Centers for Disease Control estimates the infections that you're talking about, 99,000 associated deaths each year. We're chasing, I think, 5,000. With accidental choking is about 5,000 a year. Such an incredible, monumental number that we're looking at. Close to 100,000 people.
That's right.
And it's avoidable.
And most of them are avoidable. And what patients and families need to know is how to avoid them. I'll give you an example. If I were to ask you, what is the single biggest predictor of who gets a hospital infection? Is it their age? No. Is it the disease that brought them to the hospital to begin with? No. Believe it or not, are you going to tell me?
Yeah, could I have a guess?
Yeah.
Length of stay.
Well, that's very similar to it. You're very close. You really know your stuff.
I try.
The number one predictor is what room you're put in or what bed you're placed in. And this is directly from the Columbia School of Nursing, they found that if you're put in a room or a bed and a previous occupant was in that room or bed, even not just the immediate previous occupant, but maybe 2 weeks before, your risk of getting an infection goes up almost sixfold, 583%, because that patient was discharged, but their germs weren't. They were left behind on the bed rail, the call button, the television controls, the over-the-bed table, the privacy curtain. So much of this infection is conveyed to the patient because of inadequate cleaning. So one of the things in this kit, Clorox bleach wipes, to wipe the surfaces right around your bed every day. A doctor at Mayo Clinic, Robert Ornstein, found that if you wipe the surfaces around the bed once a day with the Clorox bleach wipe, it reduces the risk of the most numerous infections, C. diff, Clostridium difficile, 86%. 86%. Can you imagine? That's very effective.
No doubt. Talk about the oral, the problems that could exist if you're not cleaning the oral cavity.
In fact, I'm going to pull it out of here and show you at the same time. So one of the things that happens when you're in the hospital is that very few patients clean their mouth and brush their teeth every day. So if you're there several days, a hard surface develops inside your mouth, the roof of your mouth, your tongue, under your tongue, and it's bacteria, and it flakes off. And then if you breathe in and it gets in your lungs, it causes aspirational pneumonia. Pneumonia, a big problem in hospitals. So the kit includes these pre-soaked mouth cleaners, very good ones, from a special company that makes them for hospitals. But we put them here in the kit as a reminder so that you or a loved one can help you clean your mouth every day when you're in the hospital.
Right. Now, what's the plan, Betsy? I've been at this since 2004. Now, with like getting it on everyone's radar, raising awareness, much like we're doing with choking safety with LifeVac. The plan for insurance companies, for hospitals, for doctors. How can we more effectively get this in the hands of patients?
Well, you're doing a great job tonight. You see, we have to get it out there, talk about it all the time. It's on our website. Whenever I do a radio show, I try to squeeze in minutes on hospital infection, even if they want me to talk about politics, which they always do.
Politics? What's that about?
Politics, right?
Your kit on our website too, Betsy.
Yeah.
It's actually in our shop.
On LifeVac.net. You can also get it on your hospitalinfection.org.
Hospitalinfection.org. And a special big shout out to Arthur Lee, because he is the man who has made this possible. We had an idea.
He's typing in. She's awesome. He's watching, Betsy.
Arthur the magic man. Made it a reality.
Yeah.
So he's the one saving lives too.
A great pair, a great team. And
Yep.
we thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're going to continue to work together. You know, you can get the RID kit on lifevac.net. You can get it on hospitalinfection.org.
Right.
And let's keep fighting.
Thank
We
you
got to
so
knock those numbers down. Betsy, thank you so much.
Your show. What a privilege.
Thank you so much.
Wow.
She's so sweet.
Yeah. Before I met her, Arthur would say she's a firecracker.
She is.
Yeah.
For sure.
A lot of energy. And she's done so much. And then to have her second act, you know, she's lieutenant
incredible.
governor of New York, and then to take this on and to realize that something needs to be done. It reminds me a lot of Arthur's story.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
And and when she didn't talk about how she got into it initially, maybe there was somebody that she knew that was, that passed in the hospital.
Yeah. I mean, she says in one of her interviews that we all know someone that was in the hospital, family member, we all know that gets sepsis or C. diff or any of these. I mean, it's the people that pass away from what was a cancer, but it was really a disease that or an infection that they caught in the hospital. So
exactly.
Let's get these RID kits out everywhere and raise awareness. You can get them at lifevac.net. You can get them on hospitalinfection.org. And we thank Betsy McCoy for joining us in The Woman in the Arena in our case. And boy, our next guest, wow, Colonel Chris C.J. Douglas, retired Marine Corporal. Colonel Chris, are you with us? Yeah, big round of applause.
Hey, good evening.
CJ, Colonel Chris, we call you many things, but first want to thank you for your service. Just an amazing contribution you made to the military, to the country, and I don't think we can thank you enough.
Oh, thanks. And I mean, I couldn't have done it without the support of family and friends, and
Susan,
which are in the category. Definitely, Susan is the main reason, and of course, son Britt. They made
married.
Yeah, now married. Yep, now an Army infantry lieutenant down in Fort Stewart. And
there he is.
Oh,
Look at that. Yeah.
Beautiful.
We met in a circle with Brian Kilmeade. Jim, his brother, is here tonight, but I often say this around. It's just great people that travel in his circles. So when I meet someone and I meet a couple like you guys, it doesn't surprise me. But he spoke so highly of you before we ever met, and I think we may have at one of the events, maybe in Albany. And just right off the bat. And then, of course, we got the opportunity to run together. And we're going to run together again in the Tunnel for Towers, Team One Nation. So we have some pictures. And I see these pictures and I get what you were in the arena.
Wow.
There you are in Afghanistan. I mean, that's a wonderful night shot. But
yeah, one of my guys took that.
Yeah, what was that like?
It's kind of surreal, and even seeing it now, it's Afghanistan as well. Coming back from a mission. That's actually Iraq in 2005.
Yeah, one of these pictures has would be in areas like a detainee.
No, actually, he was a local that my interpreter and I were interviewing, and that was actually just after the invasion.
Wow.
He had some information on some of the groups in the area, and so we're
So when we see American Sniper in the dramatic, portrayal of those situations, were they in dire straits when they were talking to you after you would leave?
It would depend. So in that case, no. In the 2005 case, until our regimental headquarters had the city that was just to our south cleared, people would come in great risk talking to us. So it was a challenge. We mitigated that through some different ways to kind of ensure their safety if they talked to us, and that seemed to be a bit successful. But like I said, it wasn't really until they cleared out the city, where we cleared out the city as a regiment, that we saw some kind of stability and security in the area.
Right. Now, I don't want to dwell on the the withdrawal, but you were there throughout and you made an analysis. And can you talk about, I mean, we thank you for that as well. Can you talk about that a little bit, just in the how it was received when you came back?
So the withdrawal, I was assigned to Marine Corps Forces Central Command down in Tampa. My boss, had seen that it was going to go the direction it did, and at his direction, it reached out to some of the Afghan counterparts I had worked with, and so as they were retrograding throughout Afghanistan, and things ultimately led to the withdrawal, I ended up transitioning forward to Qatar to assist with evacuees coming through Qatar. When that was complete, that was after the blast at Abbey Gate. I was assigned to the investigation into the blast, and then ultimately briefed it at all the levels. How it was received, mixed reviews across the board. I maintain that the investigation team that was led by the Army was spot on. And, and so after that, I quietly retired and came back to upstate New York, and where I am now.
Where are you in upstate New York?
Boston Spa.
Oh, nice. I'm from Rochester.
Okay.
Little
Yep.
West.
Yep.
Yeah.
People get the wrong impression of New York. It's such a great big,
Huge.
state. Sometimes the politics are a little screwed up, but it's not all the city, right? We're out here on Long Island, and it's pretty nice, pretty quiet. Upstate New York, beautiful.
Yes.
City, not so much. If you have anybody play the city, no offense, but we can do without it, right? So
Yep.
we'll get
Great to
together
visit.
for the Tunnel for Towers for the run. If we could show some of those pictures, it was a great morning. I don't know if it was your first time. Oh, there's a picture of the family, the Douglases, Brian Kilmeade, maybe at the radio show.
That was, I think it was. We had done an interview with Brian that morning.
Yep.
Talking about Afghanistan. And
Susan and Britt.
Yep.
And there you are with Stephen Siller.
Yep. Yep. And
there's the fam. There's the Fatschers, the Kilmeades, and the Douglases. And who are your friends there? Are they also Marines?
So John, who's with us, and his wife Kim. John and I served together in the Marines, actually during the invasion, and also worked together in narcotics as I did my last 15 years as a narcotics investigator with the state police. So he and I have remained close friends, and then when you and I were talking about doing the run, John and Kim had already previously done it, and had talked with him, saying, hey,
there they are.
A friend of mine wants to do it, and he's like, we're in. So, and then those are some other guys that we worked with in the back, big fans of Fox and big fans of the run.
Yeah. So now there's another great picture of the whole group. What just an incredible experience. If you're doing it for the first time, the stages and the amount of people that they are able to move around Lower Manhattan is just incredible. And now this year we were a Team Devil Dog, which created a little bit of confusion for those not in the military, right? That's a nickname for Marines. In fact, my kids were thought there was a snack involved. So we had to straighten that out. But this year, Team One Nation. We don't know if Brian will be able to join us because the schedule is so hectic, but we're definitely Team One Nation. Encourage everyone to go to t2t.org, register. If you can figure out a way to join the team and let us know. It's going to be a great day. We're really looking forward to it.
Yeah, we're excited about it. So,
Yeah.
Got to get myself ready to run through the tunnel.
Yeah,
itself.
there's
just mindset too.
A lot of discussions being held at Team LifeVac. We're involved with the organization in a big way, sponsoring, doing events. There's certainly LifeVacs in a lot of the vets' homes that they're building, especially for those that are disabled. But the 5K presents a different set of issues. We're not sure how
who's running, who's walking.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just such an inspirational day. I can't imagine wanting. Don't be afraid of you don't have to run, but so inspirational when you come out of those tunnels to see all the pictures of the fallen that we lost that day and all that we lost since. So.
And just the energy of the crowd coming out, as
the youth,
pointed
right?
out,
The kids.
Yeah, our friends John and Kim had talked about that, and even as well as they described it, you really, until you experienced it, it just, as good a description it didn't do it justice until we
Right.
came out of the tunnel, and just the gravity of the people, the faces, the last stretch was really, really inspiring. So yeah, it was a worthwhile event.
Well, we commit to at least meeting up before the end of the race.
Yeah.
Yes, we were a little disheveled. We met you near the ferries. We were waiting.
Yeah.
We were so excited to see you. We got on the wrong ferry. Brian wasn't too excited about this. Instead of going back to Brooklyn, we went to New Jersey. So more about that later. But really looking forward to it. We got plenty of time. But actually, not a tremendous amount of time. It's the last weekend in September. Yep. So if you're watching, you're listening, join us. T2T.org. Find the 5K. Won't be hard. It's the last Sunday in September, and we'll talk before then about shoring up, meeting up before the race.
Yeah, I was thinking it wasn't the link up plan. It was just that you and Brian ran so fast that you were that much further ahead of us.
Not true. He took a lot of breaks. Anytime someone would yell out, "Hey, Brian," he took the opportunity to stop and take some pictures. No, he's a competitor like you are.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. But we'll go off at the same time this year.
Awesome.
Colonel Chris, thank you so much.
I was just going to say thank you so much. Two of my best friends came back from 4 years of serving 3 tours in Afghanistan, and they did their 4 years, and then they said, we're gone, because it was exhausting, and what they saw there was pretty incredible, right? So God bless you for what you do.
Oh, thanks. Like I said, I just considered doing it my part. So I had the 3 in Iraq and then 2 in Afghanistan, and then of course working with the evacuation. So
humble as always. Oh,
amazing.
Geez, do we have? I gotta ask the Maris story, the football story. I don't want to miss an opportunity for you to share this.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. And so the Maris story. I played a little college ball. I started out as a wrestler and soccer player. My last year of high school, decided to try out for the football team. I was terrible. Coach recommended I try kicking. It turned out it worked. I went to college, walked on, played my first 2 years, and then had some academic difficulties that I was ineligible to play. And so my last season, what would have been my last season, there was a new head coach who came in who had said, "Hey, I want you to come to the team meeting. I hear you're a kicker." And I was like, "Well, I haven't kicked in a couple of years. I am actually eligible this year." But so I went to the team meeting because he just seemed kind of inspiring. His name was Rick Party. Turned out to be the youngest head coach in college football history.
Wow.
And got into the team workouts in January all the way through to the summer. And that was at the same time I was applying for the Marine Corps' OCS program. And as the summer went on, and I spent the summer, following the workouts and going to the field every day and kicking, and as the season grew closer for preseason, I realized my head really wasn't in it, and where I really wanted to focus was competing for a commission to go into the Marines to try and be an infantry lieutenant. And so 2 weeks before practice, I called Coach Party, and I was like, "Hey, sir, I'm not going to come." And after a brief discussion, he's like, "Hey, we're counting on you. I really want you to think about it. Why don't you give me a call the day of practice just to confirm, maybe you'll change your mind." So the day that practice is supposed to start, I call him, "Coach, I'm not coming." And so, it's like you can picture, because we're around the same area, right? At this point, I've stretched the phone into, the cord into the other room so that maybe my mom won't hear what's transpiring, and the door opens and it's like, what is happening? My, small mom is like, this is a bad decision. So he says, "Hey, if you're going to quit, you got to do it in person." So the season hasn't started yet, Coach. So technically I'm not quitting. He's like, "Well, technically it started when you went to the first meeting. So if you want to quit, do it in person. You better be here on time." And he hangs up. So kind of stunned, I get off the phone, and of course now my mom's pointing out, "Bad decision. You should be playing." And I'm like, I gotta go quit in person, I guess.
Now, how far of a drive to Maris?
It's about 2.5 hours.
Okay.
Yep. And so and the way it was going, I was like, I had a little bit of a buffer, but not much, which came into play shortly thereafter, or 2.5 hours later. So, I mean, I got in not so much as a toothbrush in my car, but I did have my cleats and my kicking tees in the trunk, maybe some workout gear. And so I drive down, and the choke point is the Mid-Hudson Bridge, right? That's from getting from my side of the river to Marist side. And of course, of all days, there's a rally on the bridge. And so
Walking through Falls.
Well,
Wanna brawling.
and that's what it was. And so as I crept across the bridge, kind of looking at my watch, like I'll make it. I'll be on time. And I pull into the parking lot because it's finally clear. I get off and I check, and I'm 3 minutes late. And so I go running into front. And the coach is sitting there. It's like a glass entryway, and I can see him kind of sitting at this folding table. And as soon as I come through the door, he closes his binder, stands up, and I'm like, "Hey, coach, just came to tell you I'm not playing." He's like, "You're late." And I'm like, "Coach, it's 3 minutes." He's like,
"Go run laps."
It's 3 minutes. He's like, "If you're supposed to be somewhere on time, you'll be there on time. This is a life lesson." And so he's like, "We're not going to talk about you quitting until we get done talking about you being where you're supposed to be."
Wow.
And so I'm kind of stunned at this point, because I'm like,
it's just
kind of confused by your tactics. What do you mean you can't quit because we're going to talk about this? So he's like, "Hey, listen, you should have left yourself a buffer." I was like, "Well, I did, but there was a protest and kind of get stuck in traffic." He's like, "That's not important. What is important is you being where you're supposed to be on time. So I tell you what we're going to do. At a team meeting at 1, you're going to go down, dry your equipment, and I'll see you on time upstairs. And we're not going to talk about this again. I'm not going to hold it against you." And he walks away. and so I'm kind of left with this spinning feeling inside of my head. I'm like, I'm not really sure what just happened, but I think I'm
kicking that.
Yeah. So I went down, I drew my equipment, showed up on time for the meeting. He paired me up with a actually what turned out to be a good friend of mine that loaned me clothes, had an extra toothbrush, deodorant, that kind of stuff, until my parents could drive it down on the weekend. Because we were right into practice the next, that day, was meetings, and then the next day was the first day of practice.
Wow. So, Mom was happy too. And how I said Mom was happy too.
Mom was happy, and she didn't miss a game.
Wow.
She, it was the best season I had. And then, Rick Party, who has, who transitioned from being a coach to being a mentor, and a friend. I consider him a good friend. And, even when I, went into the Marine Corps active duty, continued on, and then would deploy. I'd call, and I still maintain contact with him today. I reach out, but I'd have, one of those situations with what will Rick Party do?
Wow.
Just a good sounding board. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. We talked earlier about this linking to, Brian Kilmeade's book, The Games Do Count, and it's how you play the game, finding mentors. And you say you credit the lessons you learned from Coach Rick to, later in life, family, Marines, certainly. So it's great. And we're going to have Jim, who was a coach, who was a coach to Arthur. Awesome. Great story. I hope you can, I hope you can still stay connected and listen.
I plan on it. Yeah.
And I think Jim is committing to the 5K, so he'll be on Team One Nation. Awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Well, Chris, thank you so much. Really do appreciate you joining us tonight, and we'll see you. Wow. Such a great guy.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I remember when Brian
it was at Kirsten's graduation of the Skidmore.
No kidding.
So we ended up spending hours together. When Brian was with Dawn, I'm like, okay, I guess you we're hanging out.
We're gonna do a swap.
So impressive.
We got to know each other.
We're gonna
No, we're gonna take a quick break, if that's okay, Bobby. We'll go to a commercial break. It's like professional. A couple of ads. I think we'll see Alicia Malone, and I think we'll see Arthur Lee, inventor of LifeVac. Because while we're the man in the arena, and tonight with Betsy McCoy, the woman in the arena, we are also brought to you by LifeVac. life-saving device. And again, if you get your guesses in, win this fantastic LifeVac jacket.
How many lives have we saved?
How many lives have we saved? There's going to be a graphic at the end.
Do they get a bonus if
and
they
there's-
know how many children that was?
Oh gosh, I don't
That's like a
think
tough
so.
one,
But
right?
there is like updates that Donna Isley has sent me while we're like what's happened today. So
Every day it's a new adventure.
yeah, Bob, are we ready to take a quick break? And then we'll be back with Jim Kilmeade.
I was in the living room when I heard my son Carter, who was 2 at the time. I looked over and I saw him grabbing for his face and his throat. I grabbed the LifeVac. I put the mask on his face and placed push-pull. The LifeVac dislodged the ice cube from his airway and he started crying. The most amazing sound I've ever heard in my entire life. Please protect your family. Get a LifeVac.
Hi, I'm Arthur Lee, founder, CEO, and inventor of LifeVac, a simple rescue device that can save a child's life in a choking emergency. All these people were saved with LifeVac. People may not realize that on average, 14 people a day die from choking-related incidents. Every 5 days, one of those is a child. As simple as place, push, pull.
To learn more, please visit lifevac.net.
We're back. 31 minutes. This guy, Jim Kilmeade. Amazing. Jim, you hear that applause? We
Got a live audience
another
here.
stellar
Fantastic.
studio audience,
I know.
good-looking group of people inviting you. There they are.
Yeah, look at that.
We're on TV. We're on the web. Jim, we've had you to the radio show. We talk all the time. We go pretty far back.
We do.
And you and Arthur go far back. Kind of brief us all, for those that don't know, the story of the Celtics and you becoming the youngest coach in Long Island Junior.
And on my way here, I just realized that I finished my last year of coaching was 2019, so I made 40 years, which started in 1979 with coaching Brian, my brother. As you know, my father had died in a car accident. He chose the team at tryouts, had a car accident in January of 79, my senior year of high school, Brian's freshman year at Masterville High School. And so the team was going to disband, and we had a nice dad. And so the president of the league came to our house, Peter Collins. Yeah, a legendary guy who knew my dad. And he said, I know your dad want to keep this team together. Would you have to make the time to do it? Could you do it? I'm 17 years old and never been a head coach, but I know a little bit about the game. I could do that if someone does all the administration. So Mr. Edney, Matt Edney's dad, did all the administration. And we kept the team together. It was a B team. You were on the other team, the Rowdies, I believe it was, right?
Could have been the Rowdies.
It was the Rowdies, I think.
Yeah, we were envious of you guys.
Yeah, well, we had a very tight group. We were
Absolutely.
a classic B team. We stuck together very well. Now, the next year, I had my first tryout as a coach in 1980. I was a freshman at Hofstra. So I came home from school, and I'm holding tryouts. And we had 3 or 4 spots open, and I couldn't really get down to the last guy. So I had one special trial with about 8 guys, of which Artie Lee was one of them. Now, Artie Lee was not on the team the year before. I didn't really know him, but he was a hard worker. And I didn't know who was going to pick. And it was 3 minutes left, and we're doing a 3v3 at Lockhart Elementary School, which is right around the corner here.
Yep.
And Artie's heard this story so many times, but somebody hit a through ball on the ground toward the little 4-foot goal, and Artie did a diving header, face into the ground. Rocks, blood, everything, and headed the ball in. And I said, man, this kid is going to be on the team. So that's how it began.
Yeah.
And he was a little guy, tough kid, and not tons of skill. He became a big guy. We kept that team together for 3 or 4 years and had a great run. And that group became almost a bit of a fraternity.
Absolutely. And I remember playing against the Celtics and seeing the transformation of what was already a nut in Artie Lee. But then he became a big nut. He was a slight kid, and then all of a sudden he blossomed. And I was scared because you guys really had nothing to lose playing us. Nothing to lose, everything to gain. and we had some real battles.
You know, and it's
tournaments
a credit
leagues.
to the club we came. We got really lucky.
Mm.
It goes way beyond soccer. Like Brian wrote, and he wrote that book. That's so true.
Right.
This had, some guys went on to have scholarships and had great college careers, but most of the guys, especially on our team, they actually just maximized their potential at a sport. And a few of them did go on, like Brian played college and were very successful. Jimmy McKenna.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the guys like Artie Lee that I realized that's the reason I always want to coach, because when you see a kid take himself from here to there and is completely become a fantastic teammate, a quiet leader, and then to see what he's gone on in life to do, there has to be a connection there. And I think that's the great thing about all the volunteers that helped us with our club when soccer was a sport that no one understood, nobody really respected. We had a lot of dads and moms who spent a lot of time, and look what they did for us. You know?
Really amazing.
And the talent in our town, we got Lucky Rick too. We played in a Long Island Cup final, the Massapequa A and B team. There's 90 clubs,
Right.
and those two teams got together. So
Right.
yeah, it was a great era, and Artie was a big part of that team.
Yeah.
So we're proud of him.
Yeah, and he talks about you, and I often talk about you, and I forget that you were 17 and a senior in high school when so much was
A lot of hair.
thrust
Big
upon you.
hair.
We all had much more hair. But more than that, I mean, we looked up to you, certainly a big brother, in some cases father figure, and you were a couple of years older than us, so huge responsibility. And,
Yeah, but you know what was like? It was life changing in a positive way.
Mhm.
It forced. It's like everything else in life. Yeah, you got to force sometimes to grow a little bit.
Mhm.
And speaking in front of people, literally in your whole life, you're gonna have to do it your whole life. So my first group to speak with, which I hated, was a bunch of kind of scruffy 13-year-olds and 14-year-olds,
Yeah.
and they were a tough group though. So
oh, absolutely.
I had to command their
Well,
respect.
I think we have a picture of some of these Celtic boys. Maybe Bobby has it. It's a picture that Arthur sent. Look at this scruffy bunch. There's Jim, top left.
That's at Ames.
Brian's right there in the middle. And then Arthur, still a little slight, over near Danny Kaiser and Rob Duffy.
And
So,
that's my assistant coach, Timmy Kutu. We played on the Massapequa Tornadoes together.
Timmy Kutu. I thought that was Rich Kalinsky. No?
No.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So Arthur sent that picture. I know that he's watching from Florida. Utmost respect for you. And, he talks about you in his book as a wingman, as a mentor. And I do the same whenever we're chatting.
Yeah. Well, you listen, it was a great time. It was life-changing for all of us. And I feel really proud of all those guys.
Mm.
And we're almost the same age, but back then it seemed like you guys were way younger. Yeah. But then when I see what you all have done with your lives and your careers, what kind of fathers you are, that's what this is all about.
Yeah.
And my drive here, I realized in 2019, my son Jack finished up in Northport with our team, our Celtic team. So we went from 1979 Celtics, which started by my dad,
Right.
and then finished up in 2019 with our team, which had a lot of the same characteristics.
Right.
Ended up maximizing all their potential, and 18 kids that are absolutely. One works for Elon Musk on thrusters. He's 5 engineers, and no pro soccer players, but a whole bunch of great people that are going to have really good lives and
Great men.
and a good, great family. So it was a great way to finish up.
Yep. The life lessons they're learned, they're not always about wins and losses. It's about how you behave. And I'm not going to, steal any thunder or try to explain it better than your brother did in his books or how you're doing it. What are you up to now? So BQE Soccer Partners,
Right.
That's a project. And then you work for A-Turf.
Yeah. For BQA Soccer Partners, after leaving the Rough Riders, as you know, we started the Rough Riders years ago. You were one of our announcers, Brian, too.
Believe it or not.
We had a great team with all local Long Island guys. We had a great run with that. And after BQE Soccer Partners, kind of committed personally to, let's do this again. Let's get a new pro team on Long Island. But this time, let's develop facilities. Let's build stadiums. Let's build fields, training ground, non-pay-for-play academy. So we put the kind of the pieces together for that. Use BQE Soccer Partners to kind of represent the area, and it was meant to have partners. It's myself and Kevin Reardon, but we've now branched out with many more partners with a singular focus to develop, build a soccer-specific stadium on Long Island, a training ground, and put together a men's and women's pro team. So that's what we're focused right now.
Right.
The working title for BQE's project is the American Soccer Club of New York, ASC New York. So that's what I do. But in the first incarnation of trying to get this facility done with the Rough Riders in 2006, we felt we had real investors. And so I met with lighting companies, turf companies, food service companies, everything you would think you need to do to start a franchise.
Right.
The financing didn't come through. We had a bit of a crisis in 2008, if you remember. It didn't go too well for getting more.
Right.
So our investment didn't go through, but I had all this information and knowledge and know where to go with it. So I moved on and got into the turf business because I found this company, A-Turf, which I chose would be the turf company that I was going to use, up in Buffalo, New York. Phenomenal people,
Right.
great product. So I became affiliated in the synthetic turf business accidentally. And here we are now, for me, 240 fields later. And 16, 17, 18 years, and it's been a great run. I've enjoyed it. I love building fields that I know kids are going to play every sport on. I know we need more fields, so it's a great feeling. It's like being an engineer without having an engineering degree, which is great. So
That's kind of like Arthur says. His dad was an engineer and had that background, and he just kind of didn't have the degree, but he learned it kind of by osmosis.
Yeah, see, my brothers and I, we talk about this all the time. Our father was a chemist, and none of us have the science or the math gene.
Your father was a chemist.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and a restaurateur and a musician, but his main thing, he was a chemist, and like we couldn't get through general science. It was hard. So
I was with your brother in biology. It was
not easy,
tough,
right? And he was a
heavy
hard
lift.
worker, but it's
But
just
then he went to college, struggled through high school, but went to college 4.0.
well
at
because
Post.
once he got to take what he wanted to take, because he knew he wanted to do this
Yes.
since he was a little kid. I mean, how many kids have, I'm getting Beatles albums, and Brian had Marv Albert, and I'm
Yes.
listening to Marv Albert announce Knick games when he was
Yes.
like 10. I'm like, this kid's a little odd.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's worked out well.
It's
for
worked
him.
out well
Yeah,
for him.
yeah.
It's
It's great
worked out.
stuff. Yeah.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah, so that's it. A-Turf, and then and the big project is to get this team together, which is now trying to put all the pieces of the financing together. But with Sousa as clients and LIU, Brian's old school stadium, we've got a lot of good A-Turf fields on the island, Holy Trinity High School, and probably the biggest complex is the Sousa 5-field complex in Central Islip. So, yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's not
awesome.
dull. Tough business, but
It's awesome.
like every business.
And we're all going to stay in touch and be involved
Absolutely.
in these partnerships and your projects and our projects. And it's so great.
Well, Artie
to-
said it's going to be called LifeVac Stadium when we do build the stadium.
Technically, I think he committed to that.
He
So,
did.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to hold it to
So
him.
we're going to have a big LifeVac on the roof. It's going to be a retractable roof.
Right.
And when it rains, we're going to remove the LifeVac.
We're going to put it
But,
so the planes can see it too.
We haven't really had Artie would be upset if we didn't bring out Transparent Gumby tonight, just for a quick appearance. Transparent Gumby. And of course, Arthur in absentia. We miss you. We'll see you next week. And he's going to be heartbroken that he wasn't here to see his coach.
We'll have to do it again.
Yeah. Awesome.
Great
Gosh, it's time. Such a great evening. Jim, thanks for joining
Pleasure.
us.
Good job, Rick.
Heidi Felix, Betsy
Thank
McCoy, Colonel Chris, CJ Douglas. It's been more than a show. It's been like 2 shows. But we will see you again next Monday night, 9:00. Be there. Please like and share. I don't know if you're on Facebook, YouTube, how you're seeing us. My daughter's trying to help out. Thank you, Gabby. We're a work in progress. Again, the mission is we put the passion before process, unfortunately, for you guys watching at home. But stay with us. Man in the Arena, Woman in the Arena, LifeVac, sponsored by, and we'll see you next week on our next show. But thank you, guys.